Hello everyone, Drake Robinson here. And I have to say, you know, I have to say that, what's really sad was that Scary Movie 6, uh, Scary Movie 6 is going to do 10 times better than Scream 6, than Scream 7, Scream 6, and Scream 5 combined. Like, I can't really tell that, that Scary Movie, it's really sad because Scary Movie has been a parody of Scream. The first Scary Movie, the second one, you know, uh, it's comedy for the most part. And Scream also, you can say it's a horror comedy, but mostly horror film. Has comedy sprinkle is the second fiddle, pretty much. But Scary Movie is straight comedy. And Scary Movie 6 is gonna do better than Scream 5 as far as Rotten Tomato scores. As far as I would go so far as to say box office. I could be wrong, but And the thing is, I can tell if they really are going anti woke, which I hope is the case, but which the director says it's gonna be. I saw the trailer. It seems like that's the direction they're heading. Then good. They don't care who they offend. Then good. I'm glad they're going that direction. It's about time. It's about time we get something anti woke. Cause for the last three Scream movies, we've got nothing but woke garbage. Girl power. No stakes at all. This franchise realistically in my world should have ended at four. Four was the perfect ending for this movie. You had great Ghostface with Jill and Charlie. You had the OG three getting their well deserved ride off into the sunset. But of course, because money is the root of all evil, as they say, and it truly is in this case. Ruining the legacy of the late great Wes Craven, who have never signed off for, who have never directed a movie as poor as Scream 5 and Scream 6 and Scream 7. These later Scream movies, and God forbid, but most likely will get because it did do good in the box office. Scream 8. It's just sad and pathetic, and Wes Craven is rolling over in his grave, legendary director, made our childhoods with Scream and Scream 2 and Scream 3 and Scream 4. And his influence was heavily missed in Scream 5, 6, and 7. What did I say? Kevin Williamson is a good writer, but is terrible director. He is no better than Radio Silence. Fitting name for their terrible. For the just terrible direction and the movies they went with. But I can tell. Like I can the trailer. I go so far as to say it's the trailer. Sorry, the trailer is better than Scream 5, 6, and 7 by itself. The Scream 6 trailer. You're not gonna convince me otherwise. You have, just have you can tell who's going to be unalived, and you can tell who's going to survive the Scream movies. Like they're like you can tell after they killed off good guy Dewey. They weren't gonna kill off female Sydney, which is a good thing. Sydney and Gail. They weren't gonna kill fucking woke Randy and fucking nepo baby Chad. Excuse my language, but I'm in a mood tonight. But everyone else who is, especially a character who is black and gay, they're never gonna kill off. That's pretty much, the Scream 4 predicted it. The only way to survive in a modern horror movie is to be gay and to be black. That's the one thing they didn't say, but they should have said. You know, it. You know, it's pathetic. Scream is a particularly different franchise than the other. The reason I'm so passionate about it is because I grew up on Scream. I grew up on a lot of horror movies, but Scream in particular. You know, because it was just different. It stood out. It was on an island of its own when it came to horror movies, because it was a meta commentary on horror movies and the tropes and what to do and what not to do, and the first four movies nailed it. I don't care what anyone says about Scream 3. Scream 3 is 10 times better than Scream 5, 6, and 7 combined. I say that as a person who thought Scream was probably, I didn't hate it, I never hated it, but it was the lesser of the four in the franchise. But after watching Scream 5, 6, and 7, it is fucking Einstein compared to the three. It is just. I love Scream 3. I'll watch it in the theater. If it came out in the theaters right now, if they were doing like a re-release of Scream 3, I would watch that over Scream 5, 6, and 7 combined. 3 times over. It's just sad, we're a once phenomenal franchise has gone down the shitter, essentially. Say what you want about Child's Play. They at least, they released a bunch of crappy sequels. Don't get me wrong. The first 3 were the only good ones. Child's Play 1, 2, and 3 were the only good ones, in my opinion. Everything else was just, cannon fodder, if you will, But they ended it at the requel, probably. It wouldn't shock me if they released another one, which they shouldn't. Because, which they shouldn't. But if I know they had the TV show, but that doesn't count. It's pretty much like the Scream TV show. Pretty much just garbage, essentially. But yeah, Hollywood has to learn that, nostalgia, as much as I love it personally, I love everything from the past, I'm not gonna lie, because everything in the past was 10 times better than anything in the present. I attribute that even to WWE, I was a huge fan of WWE growing up, but nowadays it's gotten so woke and progressive, and females pretty much run rampant. And men who are beta males run rampant in WWE. It is just, I can't with it. I live for the masculine men like Hulk Hogan, The Rock, the Stone Cold Steve Austin. Masculinity. I want to see femininity in men in WWE, but that's what you get. You get that with CM Punk. You get that with pretty much every other man in the WWE. It's just very unfortunate where the state of pretty much everything I grew up on, just have went, and I don't know. You guys know how much I long for the past. Look at my haircut, even. Like, you see it, like, it's from the past. Like, I saw House Party, Kid and Play, and, like, that was, like, my number one. I knew I was gonna, I knew I wanted this haircut, essentially. Like, ever since I saw, that first House Party movie, and, I just, the past, God, why did I have to be born in this generation? I say that all to say, why did I have to be born in this generation? I wish I was born in the past, the 80s, the 70s. You know, back when times were a lot less woke and things were better, and you know, yeah. Okay, I think yeah, I just wish things were different, pretty much. Alright, yeah, I think I went off more than I wanted to. Alright, yeah, I say that Scary Movie is gonna do better if it is non woke and it truly, you know, what the director said or whoever said who worked on the film said it was not gonna care who it offended, then good. Good. That's a step in the right direction. Alright, yeah, I'm out.